Hi, I'm Malcolm Nance, and this is Black Man Spy. Back to the U.S. Iran Warcast, because it appears we're on the verge of war again, and this is day, I can't keep track, 87, 88, I don't know, because every time I blink, another 24 hours has passed, and we have a blooming crisis. I should have known, Wajeeh. Good morning. I should have known yesterday was Friday, and you know what happens on Friday, right? First, they
Market
promise
manipulation.
peace is broken out, no problem, and oil plunges, which, as we saw yesterday, it didn't
Yep.
really plunge because the markets have seen this bullshit for almost 3 months. And then there's war saber rattling over the weekend, and the market and the oil shoots back up. And then Monday morning, Trump comes out and says, I have a peace agreement. But all of his friends make a shitload of money between Friday and Monday. Every week this has occurred. Every week this has occurred. So, first, Wajeeh, let me introduce, Wajeeh the Gay Lion from Minneapolis, Minnesota, joining us as Saudi Gulf states geopolitical analyst, Jacob Karsbo, Danish intelligence officer extraordinaire, Middle East expert, is not with us today. He has some family things to do. And since we're holding down the fort and he has a big active family, um, I think he said he was cooking for his daughter's, like, a
Yep.
graduation party or some sort of
Birthday.
party.
No, it's her
Birthday.
birthday.
Yeah. Oh,
Yep.
I hope she's not watching because she does have a subscription. So, but Jacob does all the cooking in that family, and when we had dinner there, we went there, and he was behind the stove. He had a little cute apron, and he was like, "Burger, smorgas, morgas, smorgas, burger." He was, the Swedish chef or Scandinavian chef from Sesame Street, and just chopping things up, flying up in the air, and then he puts a plate in front of us, and it was very, very good. So, hey, he loves that stuff, and I'm glad that he's good at that. Okay, for those, Waji, I see you have your Nehru hat on again. Every time I see that
Yes.
hat, I feel like someone's going to be assassinated in India. So, Nehru did not get it that way. So, or did he? I can't remember. But as you noticed, I decided that based on all the news that we have today, of which there is a mass of dangerous news, um, I have decided to go incognito here in Greenland and give everyone the impression that I am not associated with that consulate by wearing a Canadian hat. And the only thing it doesn't say on this hat is, hey, I'm friendly. So they should change their hats to say that as opposed to, Canadian North Strong or whatever it is.
I've
Oh,
seen I've had people reach out to me and tell me like, "Oh yeah, I was abroad the other day and I saw a whole bunch of people from Canada having like a Canada sticker just to let the world know that they're not Americans."
we're nice people. We're not like those dicks to the south. Well, let me tell you, it is good. Hello from Northeast Tennessee and a lot of other people who are sitting here. Um, this is, we joke, we take this time to josh a little bit before we start the show so that we can get to our typical 1,000 followers so no one loses what we're going to go through. And today we have a lot to go through. I have 2 pages of notes, just which started yesterday evening Greenland time, 10 p.m., which would have been about 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I started getting reports and people calling me from the Middle East. Uh, some Uncle Sam says Philly is the Canada of the U.S. I'm from Philly, so I guess that's sort of true. Or Delaware County. The um I started getting these calls in last night. Mario Nwafo wanted me to come in. He goes, war is imminent. Everyone here is freaking out. And I started checking the notes, what was going on. And what is one of the last things I said? But our last analysis, and I will just touch on this briefly before we start the show. I have here that Israel was
Hmm.
furious with the supposed deal between the Saudis, Qataris, and Emiratis that
Yes.
they did not want a resumption of combat operations. And as Trump put it, they wanted 2 or 3 days to try to hammer out an agreement. And then 2 days ago, we hear there's an agreement. They are the letter of intent.
Hmm.
Okay. The letter of intent was going to give Trump his big off ramp, you know?
Exactly.
So, who knows what happened with that? Because now, 24 hours later, we're teetering on the edge of war. So before we start that, Wajeeh, what kind of coffee cup you got?
I got a
This is
local
important.
handmade.
Oh, you have some very nice handmaids. You look like you go to a lot of, craft fairs.
I do like going to craft fairs, and I have an appreciation for handcraftsmen. Anything that's by human hand deserve respect. So I always kind of like have some respect to that and like
I
to give it homage.
100% agree with you. I do too. I like going to craft fairs and art fairs and listening to banjo music and stuff, because believe it or not, all African Americans lived like that in the period of slavery, right? We simple music, simple food, simple fares, selling your crafts. And now it's like some shishi Appalachian thing, where
Yeah.
you go to these bluegrass concerts but I don't have it here. When I get back, I'm going to show you my favorite craftsman in America. And I know as soon as I do, you're all going to inundate his site. But I was at a couple of years ago, I was coming back from Boston and I decided to go to Plymouth, where Plymouth Rock is, where the Pilgrims landed in Massachusetts. And while I was there, they were having a colonial fair, right? And I love those things. I'm a living history kind of guy. And, they had people all dressed up in the costumes of the, 1700s. And I found this guy who does these pottery mugs, but he does quotes from the American Revolution on them. And I fell in love. I must have bought $200 worth of stuff, these mugs, and I
Wow.
was giving them out as gifts. And I've since spoken to the guy and said, listen, I said, I'm going to blow up your internet. I'm going to blow you up completely. Because he has these incredible quotes, like from the Declaration of Independence and all these other things. And I said, but he does them custom. And I said, I would like to get a custom set of like 100 of these mugs. And, it would have quotes from American history on it, various quotes. Then on the backside, it would have, the black man spy. And he takes a long lead time because he hand makes all these pottery mugs exactly as they were made in the American Revolution, except that they're
Wow.
all engraved on, it's all these beautiful quotes from the revolution. And I was like, this is guy cry stuff, man. This is man stuff right here. But uh he and his wife, that's it. And they just go around to these little fairs. And I thought, holy cow, I need to give them a big ass order and we need to get something exclusive. That'll be in my merch section. And that's not drop shipped, right? This guy hand makes these mugs, hand makes them. And they're strong too. I have it's called a Liberty jar, and it's like a canteen that has leather straps on it and everything, and it's made a carafe so that you can it cools your water or whatever it is that you put in there. And it's all pottery, and
Yep.
man, To me, it sits on my mantle. I won't even touch it. It's a piece of American art. And since I'm from Philadelphia, I'm an originalist Yankee, right? I'm a true son of Philadelphia Liberty, right? Somebody says a multi-pass mug. so that stuff's coming, y'all. We're working on it. Um,
Speaking of merch, let me buy you one of my t-shirts. Give me your size, and I'll get you one.
large,
Large, you got
size large.
it.
American large is actually big on me. So, because I'm between medium and large. And so I just wear it till it shrinks and then it goes good. Okay, well, we're ticking up there because I didn't pre-schedule this yesterday because you guys know I'm in the last 2 weeks. I have gone through like 9 time zones. First was like I'm in England for a week, and then Europe, then back to the States, and then to Iceland, which is an hour that way, then back here. So I can barely figure out what time zone I'm in. Although I got to tell you, yesterday I looked a lot better when I did my interview. One of the things I do want to call your attention to before we start is I did um, a Substack article yesterday, which has video from the protest in Greenland. And for those of you who note, a couple of people wrote to me. They said, "Hey, it's firewalled." And I said, yes, it is firewalled. There's one video at the beginning, and then about a third of the way through, it's firewalled because it was supposed to be for subscribers only. And what I'm doing is I'm not restricting it from you. It's just I need you to become paid subscribers. And and some people did, and I appreciate that. But I will release that video next week. And it will become part of and in fact, the Black Man Spy podcast, which comes out on YouTube next week, will have all the video that I've done here, all the way from one end of the trip to the other. It's called Mission Greenland 3 because I had Mission Greenland, Mission Greenland 2, and now I've got Mission Greenland 3, and it has in the subscriber section, you have a surprise 21-minute interview with Jorgen Boasen, Trump's man in Greenland. He is a Greenlander. And like everything
Mashallah.
what's that?
I said, Mashallah.
Mashallah. So, like everything that happens in Greenland, I've been here 3 times. I had been looking for him, but he was always with Trump. He's always with MAGA. He's in Mar-a-Lago. He's like their international representative, but he's a simple bricklayer, right? He has a small bricklaying company, and that's what he does. He builds walls by hand here. And now he's the guy that has become Trump's man in Greenland. And I was looking at the videos of Jeff Landry walking around Nook the other day, and Jorgen Boasen is leading it around, right? So he has been sent here. This guy lives mainly in Copenhagen. He doesn't live in Nook all the time, even though he's from Nook. And my good friend Orla Jolson, Orla was the one who, he's the exact opposite. Orla is all about Greenland. So, like all things Greenland, if you want to meet the prime minister, you want to meet the foreign minister, you want to meet members of parliament, you want to meet the mayors, go to downtown, have a cup of coffee, look to the left, look to the right, and they'll walk by. I mean, this town is tiny, tiny. Last time I was here, I was sitting taking some notes or something on a bench, and the prime minister of Denmark and the prime minister of Greenland come walking right by. And the only reason I knew to raise my head was some journalist said, "Excuse me," and was walking backwards in front of me. And I look up, and there they are right in front of me because the town is itty bitty. And, guy's got to go out for a coffee. He's got to go out. He only has one or two choices, right? Vespucci's Cafe, or he's got to go to, has it in his office or over at the Hotel Hans Ilya or the cafe in the Cultural Center, and they're all within a block of each other. right? Next to the police station, next to the parliament. So in Greenland, you could go to Pascucci Cafe. That's the one that's in Nook Center, the mall, and you'll see everybody you want. So yesterday, I went to go do some shopping. I needed a new power adapter. And I went to Nook Center, which is their little mall, their little two-story mall. And it's also where you get those red, that's enough ball caps, the anti-MAGA ball caps in there. And I'm coming out, and it was such a nice day. It was almost 50 degrees Fahrenheit, right? That was 10 degrees Celsius. And I was like, wow, they put tables outside around Pascucci Cafe. So I said, I'm going to sit down. It's 3 in the afternoon. I didn't have anything else to do. I said, I'm going to have a beer because everyone was outside having a beer. I was like, well, yeah, I've never sat outside in Greenland. It's Arctic. So I'm like, sun is shining. I put my bag down. I go in, I order, I have a beer. The beer comes out, right? And somebody taps me on my shoulder to my left. This guy, I moved my chair and I bumped him and he taps me on the shoulder and he goes, "Do you recognize me?" And I go, "Yeah, you're Boasen." It's Jurgen Boasen. And he's right here, this close to me in the chair next to me. And I go, "Hey, man, let me do an interview with you." And I said, I'll do a 2-minute interview. I ended up doing a 21-minute interview. And so if you go into that article, there's several videos, including the one where people turn their backs on the American consulate. But I do at the end the video of a guy whose last name is Florian. His first name is Apakuleluk. I think it's Apakuleluk, Florian. And he does a great speech and speaks to me about the Declaration of Independence and all these things. But Jurgen Boasen, I put him in there too. And if you're not a subscriber, you won't be able to see that video till next week on Monday, because I'm doing a Substack article just on him so that this is his man. This is Trump's man. And when we were here in January, we thought the invasion was coming, right? We even, everybody here agreed that if this suddenly U.S. troops were to take over and go to the occupation headquarters and capture the prime minister and all the rest of this, Jurgen Boasen's the guy they would put in power, right? He is Mr. MAGA of Greenland. And if you watch the video, he spouts MAGA bullshit to me, an American. And I'm like, that takes a lot of nerve. So there you go. We got that to look forward to. Okay. So we've reached 1,000 people. We have showed our coffee mugs. We've had a little you know, parlay chat. Let's go on to what's going on. Wajeeh, can you read us out the price of oil, please, sir?
Yes, I can do that. The prices of oil for WTI is at $96.60.
Woo, big drops.
Brent crude is at $103.54.
Is that a
Merbon,
rise? What's
that
the plus minus on
they're
those?
the it's up 25 cents for the WTI
Mhm,
and almost up a dollar for the Brent crude from yesterday.
mhm. So there is a little, I think that oilprices.com is a little latent behind the market, but don't forget, market closed yesterday and
Yes.
Trump started his games. So that being said, let's take a look at the significant activities of the last 24 hours. Okay, I got pages of stuff. While you were sleeping and while I was getting up at what would be the equivalent of your 3 o'clock in the morning, uh, it appeared yesterday evening the United States and Israel were sending messages to the world that they were going to attack Iran. They were getting it from multiple sources. The principal source was CBS, which, as you know, is essentially a state-sponsored mouthpiece of the White House now, with
Yep.
Barry Weiss and CBS. They are the broadcast version of Axios. CBS News, who has a good reporter, a good analyst, Jim Laporta, as their defense correspondent. He's a former Marine, great guy, know him, like him. They put out the word that U.S. intelligence and U.S. military had updated their recall rosters and that the United States was preparing for an imminent strike against Iran. Now, we've heard this before. We've seen a lot of this before. And as I said, I'm moving the camera so I can get better sunlight. Horrible weather today, by the way, 35 degrees,
Oh
plus
wow.
2, plus 1.5 Celsius here. It is winter again. So, as I was saying, uh, the rosters were being updated because when we last spoke yesterday, it was looking pretty Dougie Fresh got it. BB strikes again. It was looking pretty positive that the United States was going to accept that letter of intent. Apparently, a bugaboo has come up in it that was brought about by two factions. The two factions are Marco Rubio and Bibi Netanyahu.
That's right.
And their faction believes that they cannot sign a letter of intent unless included in that is nuclear material and who gets it. To show that Trump was sort of flip-flopping yesterday after we talked, he started talking about Iran has to have the nuclear. We have to have the nuclear. Right? Now, he's such a moron, right? He can't tell the difference between nuclear material and nuclear technology or nuclear development, right? It's all the nuclear, whatever that is. So Israel had the first indicator yesterday. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, watch.
Yesterday, when we were talking about the intent, I said I see one big flaw in this whole thing.
Yes.
And you said, what is it, Wajeeh? And I said, nuclear material is not on that document. And you
And
said you said it is not on the document. That's right.
it's deliberately not on the document. It was deliberately taken off the document so that Trump could have an off ramp. And this is what did I say after that? Now I know this is the Gulf states having this discussion. This is the Gulf states have driven whatever's going on. They can't take it anymore. And they've gotten, and remember what I said, someone has spoken to Trump about the hard reality of the money that's being lost, and they were the last ones to talk to him. Well, 3, 2, 1, Bibi Netanyahu calls him, right? And the next thing we have everything we said yesterday goes out the window. They're flipping birds to the Saudis, Qataris, and Emiratis. Apparently, it was Qatar and the chief of defense staff of Pakistan, Field Marshal what's his name? Not Mandami. Asim Munir. They were in Tehran. The Qataris secretly sent a team to Tehran, and the Qataris and the Pakistanis were there yesterday. They met with Arachi, the foreign minister, Ghalibaf, the speaker of the House, and Pezeshkian, who is another leader there. All guys with suits. Okay? No mullahs involved. And they apparently were an inch from getting this memorandum of letter of intent signed. They apparently sent it back to Washington. And here's what happens. Yesterday evening, massive flights of Israeli fighter jets take off and started making an air armada towards Iran. This happened at 10 o'clock my time. Add 4 hours, right? 11, 12, 1, 2. 2 a.m. Israel time, right? Lots of fighter jets. And when they take off, they're going afterburners, right? Which means they're carrying bombs. Start heading east over the West Bank towards Jordan, Lebanon, Jordan, southern Syria, en route to Iran. Now, we've seen this a couple of times, right? I say these are airborne demonstrations, but I suspect it was a lot more than that. I think the Israelis thought they were going to put all those aircraft in the air, and Bibi was going to tell Trump, now's the time. Now is go time, right? And Trump chickened out. Or Trump wants that, or the Gulf states called him. I don't know. But here are the indicators, a page of indicators. This all happened in like a 4-hour span last night, right? Israel has massive number of flights take off, head over Jordan and the West Bank. Immediately, Iran closed all of its national airspace and lit up all its air defense. So they saw it coming, right? It's not hard to see it coming. You could be at Mecca Mall, sitting out in Amman, Jordan, one of my favorite malls, right? Sitting outside at the Coast of Coffee, look up, and fucking half of the Israeli Air Force is above your head, right? That's how close those two countries are. I'm not joking. You could go anywhere in Jordan and see anything that flies over Jordan heading towards Iran, or even over Syria or Saudi Arabia heading towards Iran. Iran closed its airspace, put out a notice to all mariners. All Iranian airspace is now closed until Monday. Even more significant, yesterday was what day? What day of the week was it, Wajeeh?
Friday.
Friday. Who does their salaming on Friday?
Trump.
Muslims and...
Oh, I thought you were talking about something else. Never mind.
No,
I
no,
couldn't
no.
hear
There's
you.
Salah, Salah.
صلاة
من يصلى في اليوم الجمعة؟
من يصلي المسلمون.
Muslimun, طبعا, right? Muslims. Who prays on Friday? Muslim. Wa and
I don't
al-Yahudi.
know.
Al-Yahud.
Yehud. I thought
Jews.
that's on Saturday.
Friday evening.
No,
Starts
okay.
Friday evening, bro. So they always put out notices on Friday that as the sunset comes and the Jewish Sabbath starts, to be prepared. I get notices. I get air defense notices. Somebody says stock market. That's correct too. I get air defense notices from Israel because when I was in Israel, I was, we got all the ballistic missile warnings, and I still get them. I get them from Iran. I get them from Israel, United Arab Emirates, and Ukraine. So, the Israelis put out notices yesterday. If something happens, stay close, because you can handle electronics and get warnings if there is a threat to you during the Sabbath. That being said, Israeli pilots are allowed to fight on the Sabbath, right? Immediately after that, we get news that Trump was held yesterday a secret National Security Council meeting with the directors of CIA, other military intelligence, the Pentagon's, specifically on national security. It was a closed-door meeting, obviously. Oh, that's significant. And you know what happened in that meeting, Wajeeh? Who called?
Netanyahu.
Had to be. Had to be. All of this shit is happening within hours of each other. So, immediately afterward, Donald Trump cancels a trip to Bedminster, New Jersey, for his golf outing. And not like Joe Biden, he doesn't take a motorcade or a train up. He flies to New York City and goes over to Bedminster. So now we have the president of the United States is canceling the only thing that he is even marginally competent in, which is hitting a little round ball and pretending that he's Scottish. So this is going on. Another thing was he also backed out of his son's wedding, which he started backing out of, to be honest, like Tuesday. I don't even know which freaking son is getting married again. Is it Don Jr. getting married to wife number 3 or some silliness like that? Allah Yarif, God only knows. So he backed out of the wedding early on. And then yesterday they said definitively, Don Jr., definitively he couldn't make it because he had national security things to do.
Mm.
Hmm. When you start telling me that on Wednesday, that tells me you're thinking about it, whatever it is. Okay. Trump is not smart enough to schedule this stuff to scare people. He responds to things and cancels and schedules things, right? He does no forethought of planning. He doesn't going to say, I'm going to cancel Bedminster and the Iranians will know I'm serious. That's not how that guy works. He's thinking there thinking, man, I got to get my extra depends for the weekend because I'm going to be hitting some balls. I always let a little loose, every time I get a good stroke. So, no, that's how Trump goes. And then the next thing he goes, Mr. President, we're going to be hitting Iran on Saturday. Well, we're going to have to cancel Bedminster. Ah, fuck. Okay, so we canceled the golf trip and the wedding. All of these occurring yesterday. CBS News then put out a report saying U.S. intelligence and Defense Department personnel, all right, are canceling their holiday weekend. This is Memorial Day weekend. Monday is a national holiday in the United States. Canceling their weekend holiday plans and are updating their recall rosters. That's when you have an emergency and you recall everybody onto duty because war has come there. The fact that at DIA, CIA, these officers are like, no holiday for you, bros, that gives you another indicator. Okay, check. Next indicator, about 7 p.m. yesterday, Qatari diplomats that were carrying out these negotiations in a VVIP Qatar Airlines airliner left Tehran suddenly and flew back to Doha, Qatar. Another person who left suddenly was the Field Marshal Asim Munir of Pakistan, the person who had been the point man for the government of Pakistan. So Qatar and the Pakistanis left last night from Tehran. Oh, that's interesting, Malcolm. Who else left Tehran? The Russians sent 3 special mission flights from Turkmenistan, right? Yeah, from Ashgabat, Turkmenistan to Tehran, picked up a number of people. These are coded special mission flights and flew them to Moscow. So that is another indication. Rats abandoning a sinking ship. Let me see. Next indication. So we got the Russians evacuated. And then the what's next? Qataris left. I'm sorry, guys. I got to check this off because it's too much for any one man to handle. And then we start getting very serious indications that tell me, Mr. Professional Intelligence Analyst, that the Israelis have gotten to Trump. Wajeeh, before we go on, anything you want to throw in?
Yeah. So there's a very famous chess move where it's called the scholar's mate,
Oh, tell me
where
about it.
the person, the starting the white chessboard frees their queen first to um checkmate the king on the other side
Hmm.
as soon as possible. But if you are playing with a smart chess player who saw that move coming, it's very easy for them to respond.
Hmm.
And to put that in an easy word, that's where we see Trump stuck in the escalation game, where he wanted to do a checkmate and he went to the most extreme possible scenario, hoping that he would eliminate his enemy.
Hmm.
But what happened in reality is we're in a constant circle where we see this person continue to lose or doesn't know what to do with his queen. Like the queen is there and on the board right in front of the enemy, and he's like, "Do I take the queen back? Do I do I go forward and lose the queen? I don't
Hmm.
know what to do." And that's the situation we're finding ourselves in the United States. We are uh, strategically have lost, and yet we are trying to find a way where we can at least make it in public look like we have won backing out.
Yeah, it's like I don't know if you saw the movie Queen's Gambit.
Yeah.
I'm a chess player, but I haven't played chess in a very long time. And I was never a chess expert or scholar where people really somebody just mentioned that Queen's Gambit. Where really good players are playing the game 5, 10 moves out, right? They know it, you know it. And these people are idiot savants. They just know the game so well. They study it as a book, in books. I used to study chess books in high school, and I realized I was not that kind of person. I can see the strategic picture. I can see the tactical picture. I can see the line between A and B, right? But what I often can see is only the moves that I know must be made. Now, I can do that on a strategic intelligence level, but there are people out there whose whole lives are studying what you just said, right? Because in chess, the rules are fixed. In life, they're not, right? So in Queen's Gambit, for example, the character plays this guy and he thinks he's playing some sluffy little girl, and she's 10 moves out on his ass. And finally, at one point, he's all bluster, and she goes, "Do you see it?" Like, when I saw that, I was like, "Damn, do you see it?" Right?
Yeah.
I thought, sh you know, uh, another good movie to give you an idea of how those people think, because they're not like us, okay? If they're idiot savants, they're really heavy on the savant side, where In Search of Bobby Fischer, the way that they describe it, they visualized how a chess master, a child, by the way, this kid was a chess master, they visualize the moves like we see a computer on a battlefield, right? In their heads, all the moves are being done. No, no, yes, no, 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 mate, right? And they will start making those moves. um, and another component of that was, I guess he was also a math savant. When you say multiply 400 billion times 572,000, the numbers float in the air and they just come down and they make the correct answer for them. That's how I suspect Trump thinks he's thinking, that he's
Yeah.
some incredible genius, right? Virginia, I remember the movies because some of these movies visualize things. What's going on. Brandy Dawn says that's correct. Some of these films explain things to us and show us the visualizations going on in people's heads. Somebody said competitive bridge players are like this also. People who are reading cards and shit, right?
Hmm.
Smart enough to remember every card that was played and to know every card that's not been played yet and determine the probability of it happening. So you and I do that geopolitically. I'm without any question. That's the way that I think. I can think out 20 different moves and figure out what the most likely one in with the highest probability. And so could AI. But AI can't base it on your personal experience. So back to the Queen's Gambit. When that little girl looks at him and goes, "Do you see it yet?"
Hmm.
And the guy's like, "No." A chess grandmaster would see it and do what the guy did, knock his king over, right? Concede the game, right? Somebody just wrote it perfectly. I'm going to write it down. Trump's team would be playing the Clown's Gambit. All right. Who wrote that? I'm going to give you credit here because I just saw it fly by me. And the Clown's Gambit. And that is just the perfect description of what we are seeing here now, where they think that they're already losing, right? The scholars get, the scholar's mate has been implemented. And they're making tactical moves. Oh, I got your pawn. Ooh, I got you this. And it's like, bitch, you've been defeated an hour ago. Right? And what they will never say is when you say, do you see it? No, they will never concede that they were lost long, long ago. And that's what all of those movie references are. Wyatt said that, right? The Clown's Gambit. Wyatt, I'm writing that shit down. That might be a t shirt. So anyway, that is thank you, Wajeeh, for bringing that reference up. But you're right. I see it. You're being squeezed on one side, and you don't, you're actually being slaughtered on the other side. You just don't know it yet. You're defeated. You just haven't figured it out yet. Trump has an inability to do that. So I don't only Netanyahu and Hegseth and Rubio are pressing him to believing that every time get the US military on the edge, to do a bunch of edging and we're going to attack, we're going to attack, we're going to attack, right? And you bring up the flight profile over the Persian Gulf, combat air patrols are scrambling, Iran is sitting back and looking. And if this is the clown's gambit, all right, I call it the Iranian strategy must be another cup of tea made. All right.
Yes.
All they got to do, my philosophy is I've learned everything from 1001 Arabian Nights. They always have a second cup of tea and they reconsider whatever's going on. By the end of the second cup of
كل
tea, you
شيء
fucked up.
بإذن الله.
What's that?
كل شيء بإذن الله. Everything with
Ev-
God's will.
yeah, that's true. Everything is God's will, including a second cup of tea, which is not going to hurt me if I ignore all the stupid shit you're doing in front of me, right? Another movie analogy. One of my favorite characters of all time movies. And it's not that I'm a movie fan. It's just that I recognize key moments that are supposed to be what they are. The modern make of Troy with Brad Pitt as Achilles, right? I'm sorry, that motherfucker, fine. And he is a murdering bastard in that film. All right. The Achilles of that movie is how I have always imagined the character of Achilles. Because how do you become a legend for 3,000 goddamn years? Your shit must be awesome. And they made Brad Pitt so awesome in the movie Achilles. But the way he saw it when they brought up their champion, right? Troy brought up their champion. He was supposed to fight that big, 7-foot guy. He's half drunk. He's pissed off. His boo-boo got killed, right? A little bit earlier in there, his mentoree. And he doesn't even want to do the fight. He doesn't want to do the fight at all. I suspect that the Iranians are sort of like that now. Not that they're as skilled as Achilles. But they're just sitting back there like, I don't want to fucking do this shit. Right? I see your army arrayed in front of me. And as soon as you hit me, I'm going to destroy every power plant in the Persian Gulf. It's as simple as that. I'm not going to hit
Mhm.
Washington. I'm going to destroy all of your allies' shit. Right?
Well, they can't reach Washington.
Oh, no, no,
But
no. They don't have to. They don't have to. They will destroy the Baraka nuclear power plant in
Mhm.
Abu Dhabi if you hit Bushehr nuclear power plant. You know? Yeah, I'm reading comments down there. Somebody says, Pam, somebody says, we're waiting for the next Taco Tuesday. And the funny
Mm.
thing is, after the holidays, it's when the market's open. So we shall see. But the Iranians are just sitting back there watching these armies array, and
But
they
like
are
this
figuring it out.
tells you everything about our leadership. The
Yep.
leadership that continues to draw invisible red lines on the sand. Their word now is worthless
Hmm.
because every time I see an American threat,
Whoops.
the Iranians are like, "Well, you have never followed on a single threat. Like maybe you followed on one or two threats, but then that's it. That you stop." For me, as
Table.
anyone in
Table.
a negotiation, when you keep bluffing, your bluff stops working.
Well, that's very true. I mean, you saw that. I mean, it's. I'm sorry here. I'm just. I was about to go out of power, so as not to go out of power, I have to charge up. But you're right. I mean, but everyone knows Trump is a pathological liar and a world class bluffer. And now, even after he's carried out airstrikes, no one believes he will do anything. Even worse, if he carries out airstrikes, no one cares. The only people that will suffer are our allies, the Gulf states, and the US. And that's another point that's on my sheet here. So now step away from me talking about Brad Pitt as Achilles, badass bitch. Yeah, that's my Brad Pitt. All right. Iran has responded that if there are attacks on them, they will resume strikes on all energy and nuclear infrastructure in the Persian Gulf. I'll bet you they
Yep.
won't even hit Israel. If they were smart, I wouldn't even bother hitting Israel. I would just devastate the Gulf states, but not all of it, just 50% of it. And I would go, you can blame them for that, right? We're not going to hit Washington. We're not going to hit Cyprus. We're not going to hit Romania. No, 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 no. Everything is going to the Gulf states now. And you can bet your, to ask your buddy Bibi to rebuild your nuclear power plant, right? Ask your friends to come here and resolve this. Better get some money from Trump because they're going to be insanely mad because they just put all this effort into a negotiation this week, which was, I was positive that the war was going to off ramp. I really was. And I haven't been positive this entire week.
So there's two chess moves for the Gulf states to make
Yeah.
if the United States attacks Iran. The first one is they shut down all of their airspace. No airspace. That's the first. The second one, they join the US in the war. So it's either they join the war, which they really want nothing to do with,
But
and might
they're not joining this
um,
war.
and
They'll do
and
it. They'll
they're shutting
defend.
down the airspace. They're gonna be like, yeah, you can't use our airspace. Sorry.
Yeah, but that has big implications, huge implications. If suddenly we wake up tomorrow and we find Saudi Arabia's like, no fucking US Air Force aircraft can fly over our country, which means that they believe that the United States and Israel are going to do this shit behind their back and that it would be a breaking point. I constantly hear all this talk from the MAGA people. The Saudis and the Arab states want the Abraham Accord. No, they don't. They would like peace to settle on the region. But if you're
One,
telling them they've got to lose the entirety of the oil and natural gas industry of the entirety of the Arabian Peninsula for Israel, oh, they're going to make a decision, all right, and it won't be in Israel's favor.
you have to understand the Gulf states. What motivates them? What motivates their economy, their strategy of foreign investments is all based on safety and security. That for 30, 40 years, they have been pushing that narrative as an economic strategy. And the Western world and the rest of the world has responded.
Right.
People, Dubai was becoming the main destination for millionaires to go there so they can save and have a tax free haven from spending all of their money in countries that is charging them a lot of taxes. Well, guess what? Millionaires prefer one thing above their money, their safety and security. They can find somewhere else where they can, pay a little bit extra. Now, the same millionaires that were complaining about their countries charging them so much money are the same people calling their countries, please get me the fuck out of here as soon as possible with any means
Mm-hmm.
necessary. And that's exactly what's going to destroy their economy, and that's why they want this war to stop as soon as possible. Sorry, you can
Business.
go.
Anyone who invested in the Emirates, I lived there for 10 years. 10 years I lived in the Emirates. Um, you're you're banking on stability. You were banking on the luxury. You were banking on that the luxury and the stability would bring more money to the Emirates, right? And now what you have is instability in which Donald Trump only gives a fuck about the Trump golf course in Dubai. Nothing else. To the point where if he really cared about what was going on there, it's one thing to go and send helicopters and fighter jets and all that stuff. But if he really cared, he would have realized 50 days ago, okay, that he really needed to put an end to the war and to take an off ramp. And now, how many days have we been at negotiation? The war, we had 37 days of nonstop combat, 37 days. We're at day 86, okay, give or take. Let's say 85. That's how many days? Almost 40 some odd days of ceasefire. And every week we get a massive escalation right to the edge of combat again, which if I was in the military, I'd be pretty pissed off. But it's all bullshit. It shows Trump has no cards except the bombing card. And we know from the first 37 days of combat that doesn't work. That doesn't work, right? We hit Iran with everything except a nuclear weapon. I'm not joking.
Exactly.
Everything in the
Exactly.
U.S. arsenal was used on Iran. Everything. All of our freaking bombs. We dropped them one of those mother of all bombs that comes down on parachute. It doesn't work in that environment. It's a country of mountains, and everything that's decent is under a mountain. But to them, it's like, this, I'm going to bomb you again. That's why the Iranian second cup of tea, third cup of tea strategy works. Fuck it. I'm going to have another cup of tea. Hit me with, do your worst, right? Do your worst. Because there ain't jack shit you can do to me. But I could definitely destroy the global economy and then hold the rest of it hostage. Right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
everyone can blame me for like fucking them up, but who guess who they're gonna blame first before they blame me as Iran? They're gonna blame you as the country first, the United States.
He doesn't care either. See, that's Donald Trump's second cup of tea strategy. He's fucking mentally ill and demented, and he can't remember from 1 minute to the next, right? So instead of him going, I'm just going to consider this and let it float and show strategic patience, he cannot remember from 1 minute to the next. And when somebody comes in the room and pays him an enormous compliment, that's when he comes out and changes his mind. And apparently, I'm getting to my last big note of my freaking last evening checklist. There is a new red line. We heard this red line before, but we didn't hear this red line this week. This week was supposed to be about the letter of intent. The letter of intent was open the Strait of Hormuz, enter into 30-day negotiations. The war would have, the letter of intent would symbolize the end of armed conflict, right? And the Gulf states would go back to their happy way of making money. All right. Well, apparently, according to the White House deputy spokesperson, Anna Kelly, who's filling in for the pregnant lady, yeah, who had the baby, here is what Trump's press secretary said today. Iran can never possess a nuclear weapon. Y'all see a nuclear weapon anymore? Okay. Okay, thanks. Here's the new part. And we are back to this. They cannot keep their enriched uranium. God damn it. This week, that was put into the 30-day thing. They were this close to getting their 4 points. End of war, lifting the sanctions, opening the Strait of Hormuz, have meetings over the next 30 days, but that would negotiation would take place, blah, blah, blah. Sure as shit, they must have talked to Netanyahu. And Netanyahu probably launched aircraft last night at 2 a.m, was like, we're going for it. And I'm sure today we will find out the Gulf states are
I'm
like, you
I'm
fucking
I'm
do
gonna be
this,
buying
and we close our airspace to you.
I'll
What do
be
you think?
buying a crystal ball. I'll be buying a crystal ball for every time I make a. I'll bring it out here every time I make a prediction to make sure that you guys know that I'm making a prediction because I just made that prediction yesterday
No, this is
before any of that happened. I said that there's something missing. I said
mhm.
that Trump somehow is going to wake up or is going to say this is not enough. I said that nuclear material is not on the table. And hours later, not day later, hours later, all of this comes together and goes, yeah, YG, you said something. Well, sit down, YG. Let me show you. Let me
No, no, no,
let
no,
me
no,
show
no,
you.
no. I look, I agreed with you. We can go back on the
Not
tape.
you, not you, not
Uh,
you. I'm talking about the Trump house. They're like, YG, what you said? Sit down aside. Let me show you
oh
how
yeah.
it's done.
Yeah, show you how to start how to fuck it up. Okay, quick. Let's go to oh no, let me see if there's any more on my checklist list.
Oy.
Yeah, Pakistan, we already talked about that. Oh, the Iranians while going to national defense this weekend have said pretty much, you hit us again, we're going to cut all of the undersea cables in the Strait of Hormuz. I can already feel that the IRGC has a Dow, right? Just a Dow that's been going out and fishing every day for the last 2 years, right? This is how you do it. An intelligence collector or using a special operations vessel that's clandestine or not clandestine, that's covert. You got to maintain your duties, right? Only on this trip, they'll load 2 or 3 more anchors and cables. And they're going to go out fishing like normal. And our surveillance is going to be out there. And we're like, fishing vessel Bravo 21. Yeah, designate. Yep, fishing. Because you know what they do when you're a fucking spy vessel? You fish and you turn a profit on the fish too. But when that time comes, suddenly they will drop 4 anchors in a strategic spot. They will turn around and they will go back towards Iran on schedule, just like they're fishing, and they will cut those fucking cables. And then when they get back in the port, they'll offload all their fish, they'll turn a profit, and they'll take 3 out of those 4 cables off, and that ship won't go to sea again. Right? Or it'll go back to sea again the next day like normal with a non-IRGC crew. This is, or they'll lay mines. Somebody just said that. I'm sure the mines that the
Mhm.
IRGC drops to the bottom of the ocean will do some damage. That's from Mike. Yeah, but I just don't understand this. What is the purpose? Trump needs to take his goddamn off ramp. They offered it to him, but he hit the Netanyahu wall. Hit the Netanyahu wall. I am dead certain we're going to start getting quotes from the foreign ministry of Qatar, right? The Saudis, the Kuwaitis, and they're going to go, we had a letter of intent. The White House should do it, but we cannot allow an attack over our airspace. You know? Uh,
I have to
yeah, yeah, Allah.
I have to
So
go
Bob
to
says,
these
let's
Saudi
let's
and Gulf
let's
states.
answer some questions. Bob says, what are the odds of the survival of Israel? 100%. 200%. They got nukes. No one's going to attack Israel except for the way they've been attacking them. Small rockets and some ballistic missiles with cluster warheads that are for show. There is no existential threat to Israel. And you better not be an existential threat to my cafe in Jaffa, because that's my place. That's my jam. I love I love Jaffa Port, baby. That is a nice part of the city of Tel Aviv, I'm telling you. And it has that bar called Aperol Spritz. All they serve is Aperol Spritzes.
You know, the
Okay.
oldest tattoo shop in the world is in Jerusalem.
Oh, it is? Oh,
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out. I was in J-Town and I had just had enough. Hey, Reba Close says Mouth is a cafe man. Absolutely. I am absolutely a cafe man. All I do when I go to cities is I start checking the cafes out. Cafe Society, one of my favorite cafes in the world in Alexandria, Egypt, closed last year. God damn it. Pestrudis Cafe. I so love that cafe that if I went to Cairo, I'd go up to Alex for coffee. you know, and go back. So, okay, let me answer some
Sounds
questions.
delicious.
So we answered that one. Number two, Sharon Rousseau says, are the U.S. warships in striking distance from Iran if U.S.-Israel launch another attack? Yes, they haven't left anywhere. I saw someone's analysis was that the Marines would land on the Gulf Islands. Well, don't forget, they sent 2,500 Marines back to Japan. They don't have enough capacity to
Mm-mm.
do what they need to do because they don't think long term. They're thinking short term. Everything goes back to normal.
Is the
Okay.
airborne sterile?
John asked, I'm sorry.
Is is the airborne sterile still in Jordan and Israel?
Oh, yeah. They're all over the place. Yeah. They're still there. Nothing's moved. Nothing's moved in the last 40 some odd days. John asked, where's the Special Forces ship? This is called the Expeditionary Support Base. There is an ESB is in the Northern Persian Gulf. It's been there for about a month now. There are other ships down there, the MV Ocean Trader, last seen in Diego Garcia. Now that you've asked that question, I'm going to go take a look and see where the Ocean Trader is. That is a clandestine warfare ship. It is a merchant ship that has been changed to look like a regular merchant ship. The problem is everybody knows about it now, right? So it's like, there's the Ocean Trader. So it's very hard to get. But that's a good question, where the Ocean Trader is right now. Um, let's see. The next question on the list. There she is. The Ocean Trader is last seen in Diego Garcia. MV. I got to put MV onto it because every stupid phrase of Ocean Trader in the world. MV Ocean Trader is back in the news. Still Diego Garcia. Last seen in Diego Garcia on the 17th. But it could have moved up there. The problem is the Ocean Trader is a ship. And if you want to go into the Strait of Hormuz, I mean, you may as well just launch from Kuwait. Why would you even bother with that vessel up there? Okay, let's go back to questions now that we answered that one. Malcolm, do you think Trump is paranoid about Iran? I'm freaking paranoid about Iran. Yeah, of course he is. He's not going to his son's wedding, no surprise, but constantly talks about building the dome. I don't understand is why he keeps opening his big mouth and then it seems as scared as all get go. Because he's a mentally ill narcissist. Speaking of which, we did forget a story that I didn't write down fast enough. We will have to talk about the assassination plot by an IRGC member against Ivanka Trump. They're putting that shit out there that they broke up an assassination plot by one man, an IRGC person sent to America to kill Ivanka Trump. That is so fucking absolutely ridiculous and desperate. I've spent 40 years in counterterrorism. You have a better chance of going into Kuwait or Iraq and shooting down a U.S. diplomatic aircraft and killing everybody than coming to where? Fucking Manhattan and going after Ivanka Trump, who has Secret Service protection and all that. He has a bizarre twist in his very kinky head that everyone loves Ivanka because she's hot. Well, no, not everyone loves Ivanka. That's just your dirty old man mind thinking that she was, if I tell MAGA they're going to kill Ivanka, everyone will hate the IRGC. We already fucking hate the IRGC. It's almost $5 a gallon gas, right? I got two groups here to blame. IRGC doesn't need a stupid ass plot made up by a drunk ass goddamn Prakash Patel to make us think that Ivanka's in danger. Right. Okay. Somebody said, "Oh, they'll blame Mondami." He's part of the plot. You know? Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, let's see what else we got. Uh, Too many people, this is a good comment by John. Too many people don't care about good versus evil, care enough about good versus evil and the seriousness of this reality. Oh, because believe it or not, there was a Iranian Lego video yesterday that was excellent. The beauty of good propaganda is because it takes truths and convinces you that the edge of that truth, even though it may be done for propaganda purposes, aligns with what you believe, right? And the video was how Fox News manipulated the news media with articles about Trump's hands and a scar on his neck, right? To get you to stop talking about how the talks broke down or how the Strait of Hormuz was being attacked. And I thought, these Iranians, whoever is doing this, I bet you it's two guys and two guys in a shisha and a couple of computers. And they are just doing excellent, excellent propaganda. But here's the kicker. They start off by talking about a guy. When I was at MSNBC as counterterrorism analyst, there was a guy at Fox News who was their intelligence and counterterrorism analyst. I can't remember his name, but it came out that this guy was a convicted, former, gone to prison con artist and had convinced Fox News that he was a career CIA officer. And they had hired him for 17 fucking years till somebody in the CIA is like, wait a minute, what? And here's how they found him. Do you know how they found out? Somebody went on the internet and did one of those $10, private detective pull your name things to see if you have any convictions and found out the motherfucker had spent 3 years in prison for fraud and con artist. And it's in a new Iranian video. And he goes, the next day, Fox News never spoke about it again. And it talks about how Fox News manipulates your reality. I'm like, okay, this is getting bad when the RevGuard IRGC Lego videos are actually being accurate. You know, it's sort of like those quotes where they don't have to make up quotes about Trump. Just read what he says out loud. Oh, it's frustrating. So, yeah, people don't care enough about good versus evil or reality versus bullshit. Philip McDermott says if Gulf states get bombed, they will sell U.S. treasuries and we will feel it. Um, Bobby, Bobby, I saw your comment about Venezuela. He said, I predicted Venezuela would happen months before it happened. I predicted Cuba as well. My ultimate conspiracy theory is that Trump and especially Hegseth will bring back the deactivated Army and Marines units. Well, an aircraft carrier was supposed to have gone out of service this year. They brought it back and they have
Uh-huh.
it stationed off Cuba, the USS Nimitz. I rode the
They're
Nimitz
using
one
it
time.
as commanding the communication center.
Well, I think what they want it for is command post of the invasion, right? Because it has strategic command, and you could put air wings on it if you wanted to, right? You could fly over air wings from the United States, and you have another carrier. Bu 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 bu. So Teresa Sylvia, what is that? Somebody they're having a discussion here. Bu 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 bu. But Teresa Sylvia, good comment here. She says, question, am I the only one this happens to? I listen to the other podcasts and sometimes the legacy media, and I'm correcting their experts or finishing their sentences in my mind because I've already heard what they're saying from one of you guys this week. This is what is called intelligence. We usually intelligence is information that is stolen or secretly collected. We are collecting intelligence, but the way that we process data, we see the dots way before they become dots for other people. Um, so good point there. And somebody else actually says that. He says, "Yeah, I see the same thing." Um, Let me see. And I'll go to the next question when we're done with that. She goes, "Oh, so Marisa says, no, you're not the only one. That's why I subscribed to Malcolm Substack. It's best money I've ever spent. Best money you ever spent." Yeah, because you know what? You will be way ahead of the power curve when that happens. Oh, somebody, Rurizuki says, "Morning, looking for the dates to get back in order. I changed it. We had a day 85 2 days ago. Somebody corrected me. We're back to day 85 yesterday. It's day 86. I hope." All right. This is not important. Governor Landry was talking about getting oil from Greenland within 10 months. Your comments? I have seen no development of oil on this entire continent, this entire island. This island's 1,500 miles long of ice. It is under 1 mile deep ice. If they're talking about in the Davis Straits or some other place out there drilling, y'all gonna have to talk to Canada because Canada has been up here and owns most of those waters. Well, maybe they are. Maybe they're talking about stealing nice people's oil. Yeah. If you go watch the video of Jorgen Boasen, you're going to hear him talk about how the Americans are nice to their indigenous people in Alaska. These people.
Right.
Uh, Oh, and somebody just made a good comment about it. Eric Kirkwood says, "Mr. Global, this guy's a great oil analyst on Twitter, right? Mr. Oil Global says they've been spent 45 years looking for oil in Greenland and it's not there." But the point is, all you got to do, this is psychological operations. Just say it's there. Say it. And people will come up there and they'll go, "Oh, we have to invade." Right? Holy shit. Uh Oh, any chance of interviewing Gary Kasparov for Black Man Spy? He's on Substack. I know Gary Kasparov. We're friends. We've gone out to dinner several times. Yeah, that's a good idea. I would exclusively talk to him about what's going on in Ukraine. If you haven't heard, Marco Rubio says the United States is walking away from the Ukraine negotiations. We're done, right? Steve Witkoff, the negotiator, has been to Russia like 8 or 9 times and met with Putin 8 or 9 times. Do you know he has never been to Ukraine? Never. Refuses to go to Ukraine to negotiate them surrendering their country. Just utterly amazing. But him and Putin are boo-boos. Why would anyone care enough about Ivanka to try to assassinate her? Robot Bender says that. Good question. You know, they're all about making drama about themselves. They're like the real housewives, real
just
housewives of the
just
destroyed White House.
put
Ugh.
yourself in the Iranian shoes. If I'm an Iranian person in the Iranian intelligence room, and I'm thinking about taking revenge on behalf of Khamenei or revenge on behalf of Iran, do you think as a country or as an intelligence organization, I would think about targeting the children of the president because that would change the trajectory of the United States without the president knowing? So, like, we wouldn't be like threatening the president. No, we would just go kill the president's daughter. That does not make
Why?
any sense.
Why?
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 Ask yourself that question. It does not answer that. No answer. There's no answer
I'm
to
going to
that
make a
question.
prediction here because I'm good at this. I am going to predict that by tomorrow, the what is it the IRGC media will have a Lego video about issue ain't that important. Right? It's like, what? You want us to send one of our secret agents to New York? Hells no. We're sitting here doing sacred defense. That's their thing, right? Sacred defense. You don't add up. You know, they're going to do a whole Real Housewives of Washington. I have a suspicion they're monitoring our
If
podcast.
if I'm going to target the president's daughter, I'm gonna be making it public for the president to know. By the way, I'm gonna be targeting your kids if you continue to hit my country. At least make it known for the president that his family might be affected because of his decisions. But
No,
just
no.
directly
I
assassinating for no reason?
no, don't give Trump any air. Right? A good opponent. Well, you know, what does Sun Tzu say? Well, actually, it's It's Napoleon, right? Never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake. Um, why? Why would you bring their children up, right? I
Mhm.
think a Lego video saying, none of you are important to us. Now, if you want to look at the Baraka, and then I would show videos of rockets hitting the Baraka nuclear power plant and the water desalination plants. And it goes, we're not going to waste our bullets on these losers, but your power plants might be destroyed. And that
Mhm.
would be a very serious, right? You're not worth our time is more insulting to the Trump family than anything else. And there wasn't actually a very good comment earlier, Watch, that I would like to remark on. Somebody said, it's going to be time, that things are serious when the Iranians start emptying out their girls' schools.
Mhm.
Damn. Damn. Yikes. All right. Yikes, double yikes on that one. So, wow, it's Saturday. I can tell it's Saturday because we have a few hundred less followers, but people can watch this program. We've gone through all the questions. Oh, somebody goes, well, you're under a false assumption. Trump cares about children. Okay. so,
That's why
I
the
think
Iranians are emptying out their schools.
if they are emptying out their schools, that's an intelligence indicator. They take it seriously, especially girls' schools, right? Not like we don't bomb them on the regular. Um, okay, so we've gone about an hour and 17 minutes, and we've answered all of the questions that are there. I will come back to answer any further questions. If you guys watch my threads, I do answer your questions. I take about an hour and I sit down and I read them. A lot of them are commentary, and I make thumbs up, thumbs down, and exclamation points. Somebody asked about my friend Terrell Starr in the Black Diplomats podcast. Terrell Starr is a real expert on Ukraine. I don't know if you've seen that. Terrell is my friend. We went all around Ukraine in the pre-war. I mean, we went from Kyiv all the way out to Uzhgorod on the Hungarian-Slovenian border. And Terrell, this is in the middle of winter, and Terrell wore this bright red Santa coat with white fur, and he's a tall, skinny black guy. And it was like the elves had arrived in Ukraine. He speaks Russian, Georgian, Ukrainian, and has lived there for years. As far as I'm concerned, he's one of the few insanely underrated analysts. So you can go on Twitter at, I think it's Black Diplomats, and I think he has another one, is Terrell Star Podcast. But that guy is a real expert. Okay. I don't even try to pretend. He and he has crazy ass stories about being a black guy in Moscow, right? It's like, and but when he was in Georgia, the nation of Georgia, he was a Peace Corps volunteer and lived there, then moved to Ukraine 3 or 4, no, did I say 3 or 4 years ago? 7 or 8 years ago. He was in Ukraine for 3 years before the invasion. So, and he speaks Ukrainian now. He goes all over. He does art. He does all these programs, and he has an angle of expertise you should not ignore if it's a question of Ukraine and the Slavic world, because he sees it from a different perspective. Somebody says bring him on as a guest. That's a good idea. We'll do a Ukraine
Yeah.
special, and we'll do that. All right,
A lot
Wajeeh.
of people ask me questions about Ukraine. I'm not a Ukrainian expert. Please ask Malcolm. Please
Yeah,
ask Jacob.
yeah. Unfortunately, I am. I've had to live that. So, Um, thank you for attending today's episode. Let's hope we are not in combat tonight or tomorrow. If we
No.
are, I will do an immediate emergency live, and I'm pretty sure we'll have more than 1,700 watchers at that point. But I want to thank all you guys
Available
for
if you
coming.
need me to show up.
I'll let you know. Um, thanks for all of you coming. If you're watching this on YouTube, you are watching a recording of our Substack video. Please come to Substack and subscribe at malcolmnance.substack.com. We are trying to get back up there. We're trying to get to 100,000 followers. We took a little dip because the war ended. Surprise! I think I'll make 100,000 tomorrow if the war restarts tonight. Because getting good intelligence. I'm going to be quite honest with you, Waj. I watch our podcasts later on because I am my biggest critic. And I go, "Oh, I'm tired. My left eye is closing. My eyes are puffy and all that stuff." I listen to other podcasts and I cannot take the slow, dull, talking head discussion of moderation and forethought in everything they say. You know, it's you are not discussing that we talk the way we do in a morning intelligence watch brief. We make jokes, we bring in data, we show stuff on the satellites, we have funny pictures, and we wear kooky hats, right? So, but it is pure, raw. You are watching our minds happen in real time. And
The
someone
gears
years
moving in
ago,
real time.
mm, someone years ago said, "Oh," he stopped me on the street. He says, "Hey, you're Malcolm Nance." I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "I've seen you." He goes, "I'm a TV producer on another channel." He goes, "And I've seen you on MSNBC, and we have like 10 monitors going at any given time." He said, "When you come on, the dynamic of the way people talk changes." And he goes, "You're not a pundit. Pundits think about what they're going to say an hour before the show." He goes, "You're actually saying what you're thinking right then, aren't you?" I took that as a huge compliment, right? Like, he goes, "I turn up the volume because I can see you thinking and you are considering the data as it's coming in." He goes, "We don't see that in television. You just don't." So, you're right. I'm keeping it real. Thank you, Anna Marie. Keeping it real. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. I'm going to go out into an extremely cold Greenland. It's a very cold 35 degrees will be the high today. That's +2 Celsius, down from the 11 or 12 degrees it was yesterday Celsius, 51 degrees and sunny yesterday. So, let's do that. Thank you, Bahaba, Andrea. We love you too. All right. See you all tomorrow. You can watch this again if you missed some of the first point on the Substack. I will have it up shortly or on YouTube. So
I have
I
my
will.
Q&A right after this, so if you
Alas,
are want to
tafadhal.
ask me questions, join me.
Go Q&A with Watch. All right. Okay, guys. See you all tomorrow.
Stay warm. Have a good one.